Number 5, Evan Birkby says, I love your thinking, Mike. Do you have any idea why Revelation 7:14 in the New Living Translation says these are the ones who died, but other translations say they came out of the Great Tribulation? We'll look at the passage together. Let's look at it first in New Living Translation. Let me just make sure that that's big enough on your screen. And we'll consider it together. So this is Revelation 7:14. And so the New Living Translation, what you guys should know, in case anybody out there doesn't know, is that this is a more flexible translation, that they work hard to make it very accessible, but they're going to be feeling more freedom to make more interpretive choices than other translations would that might be more like strictly word for word. And so that's good and bad. It makes things easier to understand, but it also puts more trust in the mediator, the translation, of making sure they're interpreting things right. Sometimes there's things that are ambiguous, that you're like not sure which way it should be translated, and the translators will keep that ambiguity in the text. You'll be like, I don't know what it means, but that's because they didn't know what it meant, right? Other times they'll say, well, let's make a decision for the interpretation of what that means, and we'll put it in the text. So there's some degree of interpretation in all translation, but more so in the New Living. That being said, I generally like the New Living Translation. So it says here, these are the ones who died in the Great Tribulation. Now, what you had for the New Living Translation in your question, it says these are the ones who died, but other translation says they just came out of the Great Tribulation. Now, there are asterisks here. And the asterisks, they don't show up on your screen, but it just says who came out of in asterisk. So what's clear is that this is the New Living Translation offering an interpretation of the Greek phrase who came out of. In the New Living Translation, in the author's or the translator's opinion, who came out of means they died, right? So they're gonna say that came out of means died. The ESV, let's go to the ESV and the same passage, Revelation 7:14. These are the ones who came out of the Great Tribulation. And they've washed their robes and made them white in the blood of the Lamb. So yeah, it's just an interpretive choice. The NLT thinks the way they came out is they died, and they're going to probably support that through other uses of the term and of the idea in Revelation about how the one who endures to the end, and they're going to have their heads cut off and things like this. That they're the ones who did not give up their faith and they were willing to die for it. So maybe that's what they mean by they came out of the Great Tribulation, is that they died. So it's an interpretive choice being added there. Not in the Greek, but in the implications of what is written there.